What's going on, guys? Slattern here, and today I'm going to be doing a guide on the Feral Druid for patch 7.2.5. I'm going to be going over the talents, legendaries, a quick little burst, as well as AOE, and yeah, whatever else we come up with. So first things first, let's jump into talents. Now I'm going to be going over talents for Mythic Plus dungeons mainly. For raid it's a little different, but I mainly do Mythic Pluses, so this is a Mythic Plus build. Level 15 talents, you go with Predator. The cooldown on Tiger's Fury resets when a target dies when you have a bleed effect on it. This is super effective for AoE, as soon as a target dies with a bleed on it, your Tiger's Fury is reset, making Thrash spammable basically. So your AoE damage is massive. Moving on to 30 talents. Now you can play with Displacer Beast or Wild Charge. It's a personal preference. I prefer Wild Charge for the leap in cat form and in travel form, as well as the charge in bear form. So that's my pick for level 30 talents. Now the one you're going to want to go with for 45 is Balance Affinity. Reason for this is increases the range of all your abilities by 5 yards. So this makes Thrash, Brutal Slash, and all your other abilities an extra 5-yard range. So it makes it really good for a lot of Mythic Pluses, depending on the affixes. When there's stuff on the ground, like, it's much easier to avoid as Balance Affinity, but you also get Moonkin form and Moonkin abilities. So that's my preference, and that's one of the top ones that most Feral Druids go for thus far. Level 60, Mighty Bash or Typhoon, personal preference. I don't really see many people pick Mass Entanglement, but I go with Mighty Bash for that extra stun. Level 75 talents, I go with Incarn. Reason for this is the extra damage and reduces all your abilities by 50% and increases your energy. So I use this mainly for boss fights. A lot of people do pick Jagged Wounds, but in this build you want to run with Incarn. It's just the strongest option overall. So you pop Incarn, all your buffs, your trinkets on boss fights, and it's insane damage. Level 90 talents. Now this is the Mythic Plus build, so I run with Brutal Slash. Brutal Slash does an insane amount of damage, especially AoE. Even single target I've hit for over 3.3 mil or higher, depending on my buffs and my trinkets and whatnot. Now most other druids run with Savage Roar. I have seen someone run with Sabertooth just for that extra ferocious bite damage, but Brutal Slash is your best option because most of the time you are going to be doing AoE pulls. Now level 100 talents, there's always controversy with this. Personally, what I found best and most procs I've gotten is from Moment of Clarity. I just like having Moment of Clarity. I don't like having to use regrowth in my rotation from blood talents, so I prefer to run with Moment of Clarity. Overall, like, you're able to spam abilities just because of Predator, but you get random procs from Moment of Clarity, which is really nice and makes this build super viable and really easy to use in Mythic Plus dungeons. You don't have to keep up Savage Roar at all. It's just very basic and straightforward spam abilities. Alright, let's jump into let's go with stats. Alright, so stats. The main stats you are going to be running is Agility, Versatility, Critical Strike, Mastery, and Haste. The reason why Versatility is one of your higher stats is because it's the shift from the bleeds as a primary source of damage during Incarn. So your primary damage is going to be coming from Shred. So you benefit most from Versatility with Shred. It's been tested through Simulation Craft and other things, and with my own testing with Raidbot and other things, this has been the best talent choice for me. And I've noticed a big increase in my damage overall, so that is why I choose to run like this. So that's just the basic stats. Now let's jump into legendaries. Alright, so discussing legendaries, I'm going to go over the main 3 ones that I see most Feral Druids use, as well as the ones that are most effective currently. The number 1 I think overall is best is Chatoyan Signet. Increases your energy regen by 5% and maximum energy by 100 in cat form. So that's huge for Feral Druids because sometimes you can be starved of energy. depending on your proc rate and whatnot. So that's number one. That's the main ring you want to try and get as a Feral Druid. The next really good one would be Loofah Wrappings or the Wild Shaper's Clutch. Those two together, or one of them with the ring, is super effective. They're great legendaries. The Wild Shaper, critical damage from your bleeds have 30% chance to trigger a Primal Fury, which is super strong, very effective one. And then Loofah Wrappings increases the damage and radius of Thrash. So that's very strong for AoE. 75% increase to Thrash damage as well as radius. But there is a downfall to that, as if you're running Mythic Plus, you're trying to avoid pulling more, especially if you're running Balance Affinity. It can interfere because you are going to be thrashing like the whole goddamn room with this thing. So that's one thing you should be wary of. But yeah, those three are the main ones I believe have the most benefit. Obviously I have none of them, so it's unfortunate. I do have this one and Pride as pretty useless, but I'm happy with it. It's a legendary. But yeah, these are the ones I am trying to get. They are definitely most beneficial. This one especially. This will increase your DPS by a lot just by having the ring and that extra energy. So yeah, that's just the basic best in slot 3 legendaries, I believe. Yeah, so let's jump into a rotation now. Alright, let's jump into AOE rotation. So first thing you want to do when you open her is pop a rake on the target immediately, and then right after that you want to spam Thrash until you have 5 combo points. Now the decision here is, if you feel like the target is going to last a full duration of the rip, I would suggest that you put a rip on the target or as many targets as possible. If not, you feel like the target is going to die beforehand, you should spam Ferocious Bite. Now this build is based around Predator, so it's much more effective with Predator, because as the target dies from a bleed, your Tiger's Fury is reset, making all your Thrash ability, Rake, Rip, all these abilities much more spammable. So make sure that you are using your Tiger's Fury effectively as well, also using Brutal Slash in between this whole rotation. So my basic opener would be a Rake, Thrash until I have 5 combo points. I would Rip or Ferocious Bite, use 2 Brutal Slashes, and with Tiger's Fury up, of course, as with Tiger's Fury you would hit a lot harder with your Brutal Slashes. So I've hit up to 3.5 mil, 3.3 mil just with single target hitting one person, so, or NPC, whatever. So it's really effective. Yeah, so just keep your combo points used. I find myself overriding my combo points sometimes just because you have so many procs from Moment of Clarity. Just make sure you're using them very effectively and making your combo points on the target either Ferocious Bite or Rip. Also, after the target dies that your main focus is, you should put a Rake on the other target that you're fighting. Now you can put Rake on multiple targets, but it is going to drain your energy quite quick. So I just prefer to do it the way that I'm saying, is just Rip or Ferocious Bite on the targets and put Rake on the main target that you're fighting. This seems to be very effective for myself, but if you have a better view on this, then you can switch it up and try different things. So yeah, that's just the basic AoE rotation for Feral Druids. Now let's jump into single target. Okay, jumping into single target rotation. Now it's going to be similar to AoE's opener, except you're going to start with Incarnation up. So the first thing you want to do is pop Incarn, Rake, and then Ashmane's Frenzy right away. Put a Rip, spam Shred until you have 5 combo points again. Ferocious Bite, and then you want to refresh your Rake on the target immediately. Throw Thrash on the target for that extra damage. Make sure you are using Tiger's Fury on cooldown as well as Brutal Slash, while keeping up your bleeds and spamming Ferocious Bite as much as possible. It's pretty simple, especially with Incarn up. You're able to spam all of your abilities as much as possible and doing as much damage as you can. So basic opener, Rake, Ashman's Frenzy, and then I'll put a Rip, and then I'll spam Shred, and then I'll Tiger's Fury, Ferocious Bite, and then keep spamming shred while using brutal slash and keeping up your bleeds. That's honestly how simple single target rotation is. Now for longer fights it can be a little tricky because you're not going to have all that energy and all that reduced cooldown, so you want to make sure that you are refreshing your rip at least 7 seconds and your rake around 5 to 6 seconds is where I typically do it. But make sure you are keeping your bleeds on the target as much as possible. Even Thrash is very effective, but also using Ferocious Bite effectively. Yeah, so that's the basic single target rotation. I really hope you guys enjoyed this guide, and if I missed anything, please let me know in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts on the Feral Druid for patch 7.3. I was aware at the beginning of this recording I did say 7.2.5, but it is for 7.3. So let me know what you guys thought. I'm really interested in making more guides about Feral, as I think this is going to be my new main. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, let me know what you guys think, and yeah, until next time, peace guys.